and welcome. My name is Zaffar Iqbal, and you are watching the Mojo Story. As Israel prepares for a ground assault inside Gaza, many say that one of the reasons that it is taking so long is because of the intricate network of underground tunnels made by the Hamas. In fact, we're joined by Daphne Barak, professor at Israel Reichman University and an expert on underground warfare. Welcome to the show. Is it really one of the big obstacles that's really preventing, such sort of an assault in modern warfare? How much of a big impediment it can be? Can you hear me?
Again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, can you hear me? I was asking that in a modern warfare, what is the role of tunnels? How much of a big impediment it can be for an assault, for a ground assault to be launched in Gaza?
Okay. Look, it's important to understand that Hamas is a terrorist organization. Hamas is the organization, the terrorist group that attacked Israel in the most brutal, unprecedented, lethal assault that Israel has known for years. And this terrorist group has deliberately chosen to set up its entire military infrastructure beneath the homes of civilians, beneath schools, and underneath mosques and an entire city. And this is where Hamas has built its entire military apparatus. It has there everything that you would expect a military to have. It has all its weapons. This is where its leadership lives and operates. It has there its command and control centers, and it holds there also its rocket launchers that it uses to target Israel civilians.
Yes, and that is quite evident from those pictures that uh, they have they have put out, that these look to be uh, designed in a way that all of them are underground and they have these rocket launchers onto the walls. But how difficult it is to build tunnels in a densely populated area. We know Gaza is densely populated. I was just wondering, when they build those tunnels, it's a big, massive project. It won't be so easy to make those tunnels underground.
Look, Hamas has been doing this for 2 decades at least. It has a lot of experience. So it might have been difficult in the beginning. Maybe in the beginning they needed engineers and they needed help and tools in order to dig the tunnels. But over time, Hamas has become extremely good and skilled at digging tunnels, and more than just digging them, it has been very, very good at using them to spread terror, to launch attacks, to carry out kidnappings, to invade the territory of Israel. And it does that. Hamas essentially has two types of tunnels. It has the ones inside the Gaza Strip, which are the ones that we're talking about now, right? The ones that are inside Gaza, under the homes of regular civilians. And then it has tunnels that it has dug at the border between Gaza and Egypt, and at the border between Gaza and Egypt, and at the border between Gaza and Israel. So it has also cross-border tunnels. And these cross-border tunnels, their purpose is to infiltrate and to surprise Israel, to ambush soldiers, and to attack civilians in their homes. So this is exactly what Hamas has put together over more than 2 decades, perfecting the art of subterranean warfare. And not just that, Hamas has also spread its knowledge to Syria, to Iraq. And I wouldn't be surprised if Hamas has also spread its knowledge to some group in Pakistan that are also digging tunnels between Pakistan and India.
Right. When there was this war going on in Afghanistan, we know natural caves in mountains that act as a perfect cover for terrorists and militants hiding in those natural caves. How different it is from those natural caves in those mountainous areas when we have a tunnel system which is deep down under the civilian population.
So in Mali and in Afghanistan, you're right, there were caves and there were tunnels, and some of these caves were natural made, right, like regular caves in mountains, and they were expanded, and they were expanded thanks to man-made tunnels, right? So then you would have Al Qaeda or other groups that would be adding to this network of natural caves and essentially constructing some of the most intricate tunnel networks that contemporary warfare has known. But how do you do that in a civilian populated area? You connect between the homes, you connect between the basement. This is what ISIS was doing in Mosul and in Sinjar and in Raqqa, right, in Syria and Iraq. And this is done, civilians' homes are exploited, and sometimes they give their approval, but I'm pretty sure that sometimes they don't. But the terrorist group, they exploit the civilians, and this is what they do. They just put them in danger because the tunnels in Gaza, they put first and foremost the main danger that they pose it to the population of Gaza. When Hamas digs tunnels under the population in Gaza, it puts first and foremost the population of Gaza at considerable risk because these tunnels, there are accidents, there are explosions, they collapse, okay? And
Yeah.
also because this is a military target under a civilian population. And so, of course, there is the possibility of an anti-tunnel strike that will come eventually and destroy this military target.
Right, and I was also, wanting to ask when there's this aerial bombardment taking place, does that impact these tunnels or it's ineffective when these tunnels are so deep, 200 feet below the ground or more than that?
Absolutely. When one of the most efficient way of destroying tunnels and underground passageways and subterranean structures is through aerial strikes. This is one of the most efficient way, not just to neutralize the tunnels, but to destroy them, to eliminate the security risk for the long term. And the most efficient of these, so yes, when you see these aerial strikes, they do get to the tunnels. There are special types of ammunition that are called bunker busters that go into the ground and then detonate. So this would be a very efficient way, and this has been used in the past to destroy tunnels. Um, the Russians, they used flamethrowers, which are very powerful weapons in in Syria to destroy ISIS tunnels. So yes,
Yeah.
definitely this is one of the most efficient way to destroy tunnels. And the reason and the problem is like an onion, if you wish. There are two layers. In order
Yeah.
to get to the tunnels, you need to go through the layer where the civilian population lives. To get through the first layer to get to the military target. And so
Right.
the problem is the civilian population. And this is why Israel gave the order to evacuate so that they can take care of the military targets without causing uh, uh, excessive collateral damage, which is prohibited by the law of war.
Right. And also, we know that there are so many hostages who have been taken away by Hamas. Probably they have also been kept in those tunnels, and that makes it even more difficult. One of the video was recently released of Maya Shem. You can see on the screen. So obviously, it's a perfect hiding ground, not just for terrorists, but also for them to keep these hostages there.
I suspect that the hostages are indeed being kept underground, and this indeed adds another layer of complexity to the operations of the Israeli army, because now they need to avoid the civilian population, get to the tunnels, and take care of the hostages at the same time. It is virtually impossible. The complexity is great, and this is why when people are quick to criticize, first they need to look at what is the operational complexity that Israel faces in this situation from a terrorist group that has deliberately put its population in danger. And now, with respect to the hostages, yes, this is a very delicate situation that Israel is facing, and I'm not sure how they are going to be able to resolve this riddle.
Absolutely, a very difficult situation, given the fact that these tunnels are becoming the biggest impediment. And ABC has, in fact, quoted an Israeli minister saying that that these tunnels will be world's biggest cemetery, emphasizing the efforts would be made to bring back hostages. But the primary focus is on dismantling Hamas, and dismantling Hamas means dismantling those tunnels actually.
You raised a very good point. These tunnels, they really are the perfect way to hide, right? To operate undetected, to plan operations without Israel knowing, to avoid Israel from being able to assess the military capabilities of Hamas. How many rockets do they have? What else do they have in these tunnels? It really hinders the ability to gather intelligence. And this is why groups like Hamas and Hezbollah and Al-Qaeda and groups in Pakistan as well, they use these tunnels because they reduce the asymmetry between a very sophisticated military on one hand, whether it is the coalition against ISIS or the US or the UK or France in Mali or Israel or India, and then they neutralize, right, all the capabilities of this sophisticated military. And this is an equalizer between the party. It's a way to reduce the asymmetry, and they have the advantage in this very strategic terrain, which is the underground. They have the advantage, and as a result, the IDF in that terrain is at a disadvantage because it doesn't know how to maneuver the terrain as well as Hamas. It doesn't know the tunnel networks. It doesn't have the proper mapping of these tunnels networks, and it takes special soldiers to be able to actually fight inside these tunnels. It takes special training of the soldiers, special equipment, and also these soldiers they face kidnappings and booby traps, and they face also explosions and ambushes and one-on-one combat with Hamas, which is when you're alone and not with your battalion, because in these tunnels they're very narrow. You have to face the enemy on your own. This is another one of these challenges.
Right, and obviously those things would have been factored in. You said that it requires special training, special sort of a manpower to deal with a threat like tunnels. Would not have that been factored by the Israeli forces well in advance, and they would have been knowing that if such a situation comes up, they will have to deal with these tunnels.
Yes, Israelis definitely knew that Hamas has these tunnels for a while, and they have improved since 2014, which was the last large confrontation with Hamas in Operation Protective Edge. It was also the first time that Israel sent soldiers. Into the tunnels, and this was and Israel was unprepared for that. But since then, in the last 9 years, Israel has improved its abilities to detect tunnels and also its ability to fight in tunnels. It has trained the soldiers, and it has done some of the things I mentioned before. It has done research and development. It has robots. But I want to tell you something. For the past 9 years, Hamas has done the same thing. Hamas has also improved and learned how to further exploit its underground capabilities. And Hamas has learned from everything that went on in Syria and Iraq with ISIS, and it will now implement all of this knowledge in this current war.
Daphne Barak, thanks so much for joining us and throwing light on this important element, important factor in the ongoing conflict between Israel and Hamas. Tunnels are proving to be one big impediment for the ground assault to be launched by Israel. Of course, it's becoming even more complicated with so many hostages taken away by Hamas and probably put in those tunnels. Now, thanks so much for joining.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.